In this video, we will look at a simple floor layout and see the importance of dispatch filters in relation to the scanning stations and their locations on the floor. Let's first have a look at the dispatch list in Shopfloor Insights. So we're going to log in here with an employee. Okay, so we're going to navigate straight to the production order dispatch list. And as we can see on screen here, we've got a lot of visible operations. A best practice is to try and keep this list as short and relevant as possible. Perhaps in a specific scenario, having a long dispatch list makes sense. However, in most cases that we've seen, it's always best to have a short dispatch list that is as relevant as possible. So we're gonna have a look now at our simple floor layout. So I'm gonna log out. And here we are. So this is just, again, this is a simple representation of a floor layout. In this case here, using the context being the Cronus data for manufacturing bicycles. So in the top portion here, we can see the Work Center 100 for the assembly. So we can see that there's no machine center here in this context. And then down the stairs here, we can see there are machine centers. Again, part of Work Center 100, but we can see that there's 3 machine centers, 110, 120, 130. And then up the stairs, up the little ramp here, we've got Work Center 200 for the packing department. And we've got here Machine Center 210, 220, and 230. So in this example, we can see there's 3 scanning stations here, 1 in each room. And you'll notice here that we're also displaying the IP address of these scanning stations. And the IP address is normally how we will display or use the filters for the scanning station. So that's done again through the Shopfloor client configuration card. So we're gonna have a look at that in just a sec here. All right, so let's navigate to Business Central here. So again, the assigning of the various filters for the scanning station is done through the use of the Shopfloor client configuration cards. So ideally you want to have 1 client configuration card per scanning station. This makes it easier to display, the relevant information because you can specify certain filters so that only specific things appear in the dispatch list. Now in this case here, we can see there's a total of 5 different client configuration cards. So I know that we only have 3 scanning stations in this example. And that's because we want to have typically, you definitely want to have a default catch-all client configuration card. So in case a new scanning station is created, the settings here would apply to that one. Now there is a logic of ranking order that I'm not going to get into. But simply put, we've got 3 client configuration cards for the 3 scanning stations up top here. We've got a default catch-all, and the 4th one here is just to demonstrate that you could have a quality control person, for example, that's floating on the floor. So you might want to have different filters for that person. So in any case, we're going to have a look at the first client configuration card. So the filtering here is done right in this section here on the production order routing custom filter. Now in this context here, we want to have a filter on the operation number 10, which is what we can see here. So if I click on the 3 dots here, we can see the filter. And I've also added a filter here for the Work Center 100. So this would only give us operations number 10 where it's assigned to Work Center 100. Okay, so the filters, they can be on any field of the production order. So here are some examples of common filters used on scanning stations. So the routing status to exclude operations that are perhaps finished already or in progress. The Work Center number, using the Work Center number field like I did. Perhaps the machine center number, like I've done in other client configuration cards here. It could also be the operation number like I've done as well. You could have a filter on the routing number, or really any other field of the production order routing line. Yeah, so that's what we've got here. So let's now have a look at this in action here. So we're going to go to the Shopfloor application here, and we're going to log in with an employee and see what the result is. Okay, so I'm going to log in with, this would be the employee working in this area here for the scanning station for Work Center 100 in the top left. So I'm going to log in. Okay, so again, I've got a setting here that brings me straight to the dispatch list. And we can see here that we've got a much more reduced list of operations, all of them being operation 10 out of the Work Center 100. So these are all operations that this person could start working on. And it's a lot easier to see clearly here, not have any noise preventing you from seeing clearly. Okay, so we're going to now close that. So that was that person on. Now let's have a look at what this scanning station here could look like. So I'm going to log back in. Okay, so in this context here, there is a little more, and perhaps this is a lot here, but this is relevant because we're displaying production order operations that need to be done on machine centers 120, 130, and or 110. So again, the 3 machine centers here would only see the operations that really pertain to them and none of the other operations that they cannot do at that location. So yeah. Now the third one being for the packing department here. So we would normally only want to see operations that can be completed in machine center 210, 220, and 230. So I'm going to log in here with my employee. And there you are. We can see we've got operations here for 210, 220, 230. And that's it. That's how to make it nice and clean for the employees on the floor. This concludes the video on Work Center filtering to best match the floor layout.
Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content.